try to go viral, okay? So what I need everybody to go, we want to trend. What I want everybody to do is take a selfie, take an USSI, and you can go ahead and hashtag Russell Future Fest. Can y'all do that for me? So DJ's gonna throw on some really hot, and I'm gonna need you guys to do a reel, take a photo, and then hashtag Russell Future Fest. You can tag us on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, so we can get a chance to see and share your photos. Is everybody good with that? Look at you guys. Yes. Yes. Put your hands together and help me welcome Mr. Robert Gould, who is CEO of RG Media. He's executive producing this entire weekend. Can we welcome Robert as he comes?
Now I thought I was in the ATL. Come on, make some noise, ATL. How you feeling? And come on, this side is lovely. How you feeling over here? Oh, I don't know about you. Touch your heart right here and say it's about me. Tell yourself it's about me. Today, I want you to understand that you are the future. No matter what age you're at, whether you're 80, we may have some folks who are 80 in here, or we may have some people who are 8 years old in here. The power of the story of Herman Jerome Russell is that it reaches from 80 and it goes to 8. It reaches from 8 and it goes to 50. It connects all of us. And so today I'm excited to introduce to you a family who's been on the forefront of doing that, a family who's been on the forefront of making sure that the recognition of their father, of their grandfather is not just heard, but it is felt. And so before I do that, we understand that today could not be possible without our special guests who helped power the future. Say power the future. And so we've had some future power partners, and so we want to acknowledge them really quickly before we jump into our day. We have platinum partners, the Russell family. Let's give it up to the Russell Family Enterprise. We also have gold partners, Operation Hope, Georgia Pacific. We also have a great array of emerald partners, Concessions International, H.J. Russell and Company, Proof of the Pudding, U.S. Supply House, Cruise, and Cisco. Let's give it up to our emerald partners. This could not be made possible also without our wonderful partners at the Woodruff and some contributors such as Coca-Cola and also Priceless Management. Let's give it up for them as well. This last endeavor, and then I'm getting ready to turn over the mic, could not be made possible by people who really believe that the right students, the right dreamers, the right believers should be in this space. So now it's time. Somebody say it's time. Come on, let's say let's go. Come on, say let's go. Come on, let's go. Now it's time to go into the future. And so we are honored to have a family at the forefront of this who believes in the future, who sees the future. And we're going to open this up with a moment of Russell legacy. And I'd like to bring up to the stage now none other than the Russell family, the second generation. Y'all give it up for, as they come up now, give it up for Danita Russell. Jerome Russell. And last but not least, Mr. Michael Russell. Come on, y'all can do better than that. This is legacy standing here, baby. Y'all can do better than that. Let's do it, let's do it. Let's start to get up. Everybody stand up in the room. Let's do it up for these legacy makers.
Good morning. So my name is Michael Russell. I'm here just to welcome you and to thank you for coming out. For all of you all who came out to be inspired, to learn, to listen, to network, and to really be the best person you can be. I want to thank all of you all for taking the opportunity to do that. Robert, he's our executive director. You'll see it's a fabulous setup you'll see around here as the day goes along. I want to thank you, Robert. And certainly I want to thank really, this is G2, but really G3. The next generations of Russells really led and started with my niece, Lori Russell here. You hear from her later. But I'm so pleased that they really took the ball and ran with us. And really we just continue to be thankful for what this city has done for the Russell family. And we just want to give back. and make sure we're being impactful, making sure we're leaving this place a better place than when we came. So I just want to welcome all of you all here. We're going to have a great day. I'm excited about everything that we have planned and all the dignitaries. We got the mayor of our city, who you'll hear from briefly, and I'm just thankful that we're able to pull together something like this. So with that, I will hand it over to my brother and sister who will talk a little more about the legacy of the Russell Bear.
I cheat a little bit with notes. So I'm Danita, I'm the eldest, and I just want to give you a little background on our father to start off today. At the age of 12, Herman Russell had the entrepreneurial spirit. He had a vision for building a shoe stand, which was really one of the few entrepreneurial ventures that young people could have in the 1940s. So he had this vision of building a shoe stand that had 2 chairs, things like Coca-Cola and shoelaces for his customers to buy. And he told his father, and his father said, in order to do that, you have to get a permit from the city. So he walked from his home in Summerhill down to City Hall to meet with the alderman in order to ask for permission to build the shoe shine. He stood in line, in the colored line, by the way, and waited for his turn. When it was his turn, he walked up to the podium, and the alderman said, "Boy, what do you want?" Because my father had a speech impediment, he stuttered, and he found it difficult to enunciate his words. They immediately started laughing at him and told him that he talked funny and he needed to go home. Even though he had an experience like that, which would have humiliated a lot of grown folks, he was determined. He went home, he built that shoe shine, and it became the beginning of his entrepreneurial journey. He passed that determination on to his children and his grandchildren. And I am so happy that our children, Generation 3, have the know-how and the determination to say to us, we need to do something for the youth in our community. And that is why we are here today. Our father believed that entrepreneurship was the best way to control your destiny. It is our desire today, as you attend these sessions, that you will be inspired and encouraged to continue with your dreams and to understand that the future is yours. Take advantage of this day and dream big. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, everyone. My father, Herman Russell, is smiling as he looks down from heaven. The producer and chairwoman of Future Fest were both influenced and impacted by my father. This gentleman over here, Robert Good, 20 years ago, he was working with his mother on various projects, both myself and my father, and Carol would bring this 7-8-year-old little boy around and with her for everything that she did. So you were influenced, my brother. So, okay. My daughter, Maury, and my father's, of course, granddaughter, when Maury was around 18 years old, she had a jewelry accessory store. And she was in Miami and came to Atlanta and did a reception at Pascal's. And I think she sold maybe a little less than $1,000 worth of jewelry. And she called my father and she said, "Grandpa, I sold $1,000 worth of jewelry." And he said, "How much did you spend on the expenses for your thing?" "I don't know." He said, "You lost money." And Maury, that impacted Maury to the day. So his influence goes beyond. My father was a youth entrepreneur. As Danae said, at 22 years old, he started his business. 22 in 1952. Over the years, he opened up doors for other young entrepreneurs. And he ensured his 3 children were exposed to the business, but not entitled. So today, 70 years from 1952, we're one of the few, we don't think we can count on more than one hand, Black businesses that are transitioning to the 3rd generation. So as we look out into the future, Future Fest 2022, I want to say 30 years from now, I will be kicking it at 90. Right on. Maury will be knocking on the youthful 60. And Generation 4 will be here celebrating 100 years of a Black business generation. Let's go get Future Fest 2022, and let's make a big difference as we go forward. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chairwoman of Future Fest, give it up for Miss Maury Russell.
Good morning, all of our sponsors. Thank you to my family and my grandfather for just this legacy that I'm able to be in. And I really want to thank God. So I thank God for this moment that we're in. And you know, 4 years ago, we were doing a community day. So we started a community day, and as we went into the 5th year, it was something on my heart and soul that said we have to increase the impact. And we connected, Paul Bryant connected me with Robert, with RG Media, and all I can say about that is it's about the team that you have around you, right? Like I can't do it on my own, and RG Media came in with us, helped to create this amazing idea, day concept, and I am just honored to be here as y'all's chairwoman. And to be here in the city of Atlanta and do this for our city. You know, but as I'm speaking of the city of Atlanta, and y'all, once we bring him up, I'm gonna need some real Atlanta tunes going on. But I am just so honored to not just introduce the mayor, the 61st mayor of our city, but a friend. And I told you all, we've been doing, this is our 5th year, and we were doing something in the community. Andre Dickens was always there. He showed up every single year. Other things that I've asked him to be there, you've always answered the phone, you've always showed up, and I am just so grateful to have him as our mayor and represent this city. So you all help me in welcoming the 61st mayor of Atlanta, Mayor Andre Dickens.
Trying to get a good look at you, so now I can see you. I can lay my eyes on these wonderful young people, these students, these young minds, all of y'all. I see young people and I see younger people. I ain't saying no old people in here. I see young people and I see younger people. Thank you, Maury, for that introduction. Thank you for your leadership and your friendship. Thank you to each and every member of the Russell family. I consider myself a generation 2.5. So Maury, you're generation 3, and you guys are generation 2. I'm generation 2.5. I'm just gonna call myself an honorary. And ain't nothing y'all can do about it because I love your family so much. And there's so many other wonderful people in here, from Rodney Buller to Jay Bailey to, of course, Stedman Graham, and so many others. But the city of Atlanta applauds and honors the legacy of H.J. Russell. He's ours. He's Atlanta's own H.J. Russell. This man, this family that has done so many amazing things to really motivate us to go into entrepreneurship, to go into construction, to go into airport concessions, and to give back. to set a legacy. And so I'm honored to stand on a stage that lives in his legacy. And now you're doubling down on that and you're doing it for the youth. You're setting a precedent for the youth. So I'm excited. And earlier this week I was speaking about potential. And potential was what we were talking about. And I talked about how potential doesn't have anything to do with your zip code. And, you know, sometimes your zip code can make you feel like that zip code doesn't send enough people to college, or that zip code doesn't have a lot of millionaires in that zip code. That zip code hasn't produced a lot of individuals that have gone on to have fortunes of billions and millions, but that's okay. Because potential is in you just like it was in me, just like it was in H.J. Russell, who at age 12 wanted to start a shoe shine stand but had a speech impediment. His zip code of Summerhill did not hinder him from becoming this legend that we talk about. And as I look at today's participants, these young people, I am deeply reminded of the potential that each and every last one of you have. Each of your potential can propel you through your leadership skills, through your hard work and your commitment. And we often confuse leadership with a job title or a position. Just because you're mayor or CEO, that's not the only way to be a leader. Right now in your classroom, in your camp, in your team, you can be a leader and an influencer, and you don't have to have 100,000 followers to be a leader or an influencer. You influence your neighbor, the person that you took that selfie or that ussy with. You guys influence one another, and you are leaders amongst yourselves. Do y'all believe that? Do y'all believe you're leaders? All right. You can be a leader, and your Instagram followers can be sitting on 10. I hope you got more than 10 friends, but you don't have to have 10,000 to be a leader. And so I think about that each and every day. So the involvement of leadership is just coming from the heart. And I love that phrase from the beginning when we touched our hearts and we talked about ourselves and our self-care. So what you need is honesty, self-awareness, initiative, an open mind, and a strong emotional health, and the courage to be vulnerable and ask for help from somebody else that's been there. And then last but not least, in the conditions of time that we live in, you gotta have some resilience. You gotta have some resilience, some strength to be able to get hit and keep on going. In basketball, we say, and one, you take the foul, right? You take the foul and you still complete the shot. That's resilience, all right? In football, you hit the hole and you still keep on going. You get the extra yards. Resilience is what we gotta live through right now. Resilience is overcoming a speech impediment to become one of the biggest businessmen in the history of the United States. So that's resilience is something that you all have, and you just have to hone into it. And that's just a short list. As me and being born and raised in Adamsville. Anybody around from Adamsville? The guy in the back. That's right. That's what we look like in Adamsville. We hold up the rear. That's right. We in the back. Adamsville, small little part of the city. A lot of good things people said didn't come out of Adamsville. I was the first of my family to go to college. First of my family to go from Atlanta Public Schools to make it to Georgia Tech, to go to college, to be able to become a chemical engineer. That zip code that I live in, that I grew up in, only gave you a 4% chance of making it from poverty to prosperity. Only a 4% chance in Adamsville. So that means there was a 96% chance that I would stay in those conditions I was in. That can no longer exist, and that's why we are here with Russell and Rock the Block, and this whole movement with you is to change that dynamic. And that's what we're going to do about it. I am confident that you will see people go from poverty to prosperity right before our eyes over the next few years if we hone in and stick together. So I became a local business owner because I heard about H. Jerome Russell. But then not only did I become a small business owner, this family also bought furniture from my furniture store. I supported them, they supported me. This ecosystem builds upon each other. And so it's important that we carry on in that way. And so no matter what title I have there as mayor of Atlanta, I'm still somebody who cares about my friends, my family, and each and every member of this community. And so that's what the Russell family is doing. And it doesn't matter to me where you are right now. I know that you have the potential to be whoever you want to be in life. And I'm confident you'll keep pushing ahead. And you're on the right track already because you showed up today. You showed up today, and I think that you are in the right place at the right time. God doesn't make any mistakes, and so I can't see what you all do with all of this potential. So I'm Andre Dickens. I'm honored to serve as the mayor of Atlanta. It's good to see you. Thank you once again.
Y'all give it up for Mayor Andre Dickens. I'd like to say, this is the inaugural year of Russell's Future Fest. It's so incredible, and we can't talk about individuals who travel all across the country. They're going to be with us for 2 days without starting at home first. So Mayor Andre Dickens, on behalf of the inaugural Russell Future Fest, along with the Russell family, we want to honor you and be our first honoree of the first ever Future Shaper acknowledgement from Russell Future Fest 2022. Thank you for sharing the future.
I'm honored. Thank y'all. Thank you.
Let's go! Come on, say let's go, let's go. That's all right. He said your voice this morning, let's go, let's go. That's what I like to hear. So we're going to get kicked off with our date.
chairwoman of Future Fest, and I also have a wellness company. And I just want to let you all know, as a businesswoman, the importance of your holistic wellness, right? Like, you're only as good as your mind and body. I'm sure you all heard the phrase, health equals wealth, and it's really true. So I just want to make the comment to say that we gotta make sure we're focusing in on our mind, body, spirit, soul. And I want to start off this session. We have an amazing panelist, and they're gonna get into stuff. But I want to start it off by grounding the room. So I have my amazing instructor from Oddly Fit, Layla Howard, who is a certified yoga and meditative instructor. And we're going to start off with like a 2-minute breathing grounding exercise. So thank you.
Has anybody
School and only in ATL. I don't know any other place. I don't know any other place like this. Y'all get me a pilot, but don't get me a real hard yet. You know, I'm a little shorter. There we go. Okay, good stuff. So I want to dive into your catalog, and I want to talk about some of those instrumental moments. And I want you to take us literally. We dim the lights. I want to go into the studios of some of the hit songs that you've created and talk about your process behind it. But before we get into that, can you explain to me what the future means to you? You hear the word future. What future is?
Right. I think, you know, where I am in my life and my career now, I've accomplished so much and achieved so much. And the future is you guys. So I'm in a position to give back to the future creators, to the future entrepreneurs, and I would like to see more Makebas out there. You know, just doing these amazing things, going after your dreams, grabbing a hold of it, and really, really doing it and making it happen. So if I can help with information, with knowledge, with wisdom, in any way, that's what I want to do.
And so we're going to dive in here, so let's cue up our first track, but we're going to dive in. I want to encourage you all, when you leave out the space, if you have it, to scan the QR code, right? And that's going to give you all the information on Makeba's background and what she's doing. And during this session, if you capture any content, make sure you tag at Russell Features, okay? So I want to go to the first room, the first studio. We're pulling up to the stoop, all right? So the first room we're going to go to, DJ, come on, kick me off. Tell me where we're going to.
This.
Where we going?
And I got a call from Beyonce's father's company, and they said they had this record called Deja Vu, a demo that I did, that she loved. She wanted to cut, she wanted to meet me, she wanted to have me come in and work with her on it. And we wound up doing this record, and I also co-wrote 7 other songs on the Beat Day album, which sold 8 million worldwide, 7 Grammy nominations. So really, this was just the first of that album, Deja Vu, on the whole Beat Day album, because I was all over that album.
Creators, you're walking into the Future Creators stage. So welcome, come on in, have a seat. We're locked in with Grammy Award winning. Say Grammy Award winning. Songwriter Makeba Riddick is in the building, and y'all can scan the QR code and you can look at her discography and all her wonderful bio. But listen, I want to tap into, because the Russell legacy, you said something that was so important about the stats that make up that record. And I think a lot of people don't understand the mechanics in entertainment, that really, you know, in entrepreneurship, we have data and we have figures. We look at our scaling the company by those figures. But I want to put a little spotlight on what that is for you as a songwriter. What does that mean when a record sells 8 million?
So, what a lot of people don't know about songwriting is that there are various royalty streams, various streams of income, from mechanical royalties, which is album sales, performance royalties, which is radio and streaming. There's synchronization from ads and commercials. So various streams of income for a songwriter. But even bigger than that, it's the listening audience. So when you have a #1 record around the world, I believe Deja Vu had a listening audience of 800 million listeners. That's 800 million people listening. And might I add, that was before the advent of streaming. So this was all radio, all across the world. And although that wasn't my first #1 record, even then, at that point, it was mind-boggling to know that I was a part of something that stretched across the globe, that was making people dance all over the world.
All over the world. So literally, here you are, and tell people where you're from.
I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. That record was created in New York City. I had moved to New York City by that time.
Be more in the house. Any be more? No, okay, all right. Okay.
You know, I was once in a school for arts in Baltimore. I went to Baltimore School for Arts, and I had a dream. I saw Sean Puffy Combs was talking about he was starting this new record label. Now this was back in the 90s. And I said, I'm gonna work for him. I'm gonna work for that label. And eventually I did. I went and interned for the label, and then he signed me as a writer after, you know, years of sending in demos, interning for the company, interning for Def Jam, starting my own buzz in New York City, and eventually he signed me as the first female writer on Bad Boy Records through Sony ATG. So, I just think that's the first female out of the Hickman crew. And I just think that's important because we talk about the big records and the big hit records and the Grammys, but what about the journey getting to that? What was that like? That was like sleeping on trains in New York City. That was sleeping on the floor at the studio. That was working all night long in the studio and then going to my day job at the Human Resources firm and then going to my internship. So it's
Singing can save everything. It can also keep you really positive. There's a lot of things in this world, not only the music business and the entertainment business, and it's in acting as well, is that people are going to tell you you can't do it. And you've got to be your own best champion. Now, most of the students that I see are their own worst critics. You cannot be your own worst critic. You've got to be your best champion. One of my best friends in our faculty, Mr. Morris Baxter, who's on WCLK every weekday. He does his morning motivations. My wife and I cannot live without his morning motivations. Even if you're not into jazz music, listen every quarter of the hour from 6 to 10. He does vision boards with our students, and I've seen these vision boards from all these students turn into reality. So realize if you don't have a plan to move forward for your success, the plan that Robert was talking about that you're going to write out today, I still have my roadmap from when I was 17 with Joel Katz. If you write it down and start to make some progress on it, it will start happening. And two other quick stories. When I was young and I was starting to learn to play bass, I got to meet Buddy Guy. He was a very big influence on me. I got to play with him quite a few times in Europe. And he always said, success is survival. He always said, every day you get up, it's the stuff that you continue to do, like Mr. Fleming was saying, that you continue to succeed. And I was in the brain, I was like, oh my gosh, and I was stuttering like crazy, it all came back. What do I say to the Godfather of Soul? And I said, you're the reason I got in this business. He said, don't blame that shit on me. And if you go back and look at his history, everything about it on paper, James Brown should have never done anything that he did. And look at all that man did. They wouldn't play him on the radio, he bought the radio station. And with this wisecracking Jewish kid from New York, where I was from, I'm originally from New York too. And with Joel Katz, he said, I want you to be my attorney. He gave him a chance. He was here teaching at Georgia State and a HUD attorney, not even in entertainment. And he said, I like you, I trust you, I want you to work out this deal for me. And he gave Joel his chance. And Joel still works with the Michael Jackson Foundation. He was with the Jackson family the whole time. So realize, all of these people we're talking about today, any one of you can do it. You've heard that the odds are stacked against you. My life has been one long shot after another, but if you get up every day, success is survival.
I love it, thank you. And Rodney, I know, of course I know very personally some of your challenges.
And then it's like, you know, so, I mean, I think that's a great idea. I mean, yeah.
Because it forced me to expand my mind past just what I wanted. So success for me has been able to live the dream of a 9-year-old kid who wanted to do what he wanted to do. But I think ultimately success has been what my grandparents challenged me and my sisters to do. It has to be independent and take care of yourself, to help out your siblings in your community, and don't embarrass our name and don't embarrass Black people. So when I think about being successful, that's the thing I really think about. Am I an independent person? Do I take good care of myself and help my siblings and my community? And do I make sure I don't embarrass my family's name and my
Well, success for me, I think, has been being able to connect with myself and allow myself to create environments that allow me to flow and be present and living in the here and now with no pressure of letting outside influences take me away from kind of creating, flowing in a way that I can hear my own voice. I say that because my journey has been, I know we didn't do a lot of intros, but people say, what do you do? Like, I think my parents did a really good job with allowing me, like, I come from a single mom with 6 kids, and you built the whole thing. But my mom did a really great job of making sure that we never knew we were poor. I never felt poor. Looking back, we were poor. But I felt like a king my whole life. I always felt loved. I always felt like I was cared for. And that allowed us, and she kept on saying, now you guys gotta do better than I did. Whatever you do, Jim, you gotta do more than what I did for you for your own children. And as we started growing in our flow, I started realizing that success was only like being able to live in purpose, being connected. And what it did is it took me into rooms I thought I would never be in. I started off wanting to be a psychologist. I had a clinical degree, opened up a nonprofit, it was performing arts, became a consultant, then started working for Berkeley College of Music because the model was so many kids were getting into Berkeley. So then started managing artists, and I got to read amazing artists. And one of them, I'm sure a lot of people are trending now, is the Harvard, Madison Kylie, the African American artist. She just played with Alicia Keys, Beyonce, that's one of my artists. And so now I'm working with artists, but what makes me feel successful of the journey is that I'm only doing what I've been doing all my life, is now I get to do the clinical, so I can take care of people, make sure that mentally they're fine to go on stage and feel comfortable. I'm doing the performance, but I'm just really living in my purpose. And that to me is success. It's not about how much money I'm making, it's how free I feel in the morning when I wake up.
I think that, you both made really great points about being able to know that what you're doing serves your purpose, and really once you find out what your passion and purpose is, then you're able to really feel successful. Because doing the things that, like I said before, that you have to do always feels like a struggle, right? So if you think about going to school, getting good grades, it's almost like you have to do those things. But once you figure out what you really want to do and you are passionate about it, then you're doing it because you love it. So your success starts to become greater. You start to feed that inner hunger for success. And success looks different for everybody, right? So we talked about the way you grow up, the things that people say to you that can influence you. I have a similar situation to I had a baby when I was probably close to most of y'all's age. So by the time I was in 10th grade, I had a 2-year-old. And for me, that really looked like failure. And to a lot of people really counted me out right away. It was like, she's a TV mom, and that's it. This is going to be her life and her legacy, or her destiny rather. And for me, I really thought, well, how can I? Oh, they cut me off. Am I back? How can I prove all these people wrong? All the people in my family, all the people in my neighborhood, all the people in my church, all the people in my own family who were saying, this girl will never be successful. She will never make it because she has made herself a statistic, right? She has made herself something that people find less desirable. How is she going to do this? And so success really, and I'm piggybacking off what these two gentlemen said, is really just finding that inner hunger to push past what people say about you, push past your circumstance in life. And I told you mine. I'm grateful that my success ended up looking the way I wanted it to look. for now, right? For now, as it grows.
Success is such a tricky thing for me. I just want to add to this because I feel like I'm growing every day. And listening to you guys speak about this so helpful to me because I just try right now in my life this morning, like going to the gym. That's a success for me because I don't want to do it. And
Amen. I gotta go after I leave here. Boy. You gave me the motivation I need.
If you can get through it, I knew that if I did not go forward, amen, I would not go after it. So I'm glad that I was able to get it done this morning. But success is just, I believe, for me, it's like seriousness of purpose. And whatever that purpose is, like it is going to the gym, if it is finishing an assignment, if it is getting through the day, like that is success. Yeah. Moving on to the next question because I will preach. How is the future workforce impacted by this session topic?
Well, I think in Atlanta, if you look at workforce right now, you have an opportunity as young people. I used to love field trips because I didn't want to be in class anyway. So let me tell y'all the favorite part of today, just kind of hanging out, telling the truth to y'all. But when I was young, say 15, 16, 17 years old, in order to get a record deal, you literally had to be in New York or Los Angeles. And thanks to our musical forefathers here, people like Dallas Austin, Jermaine Dupri, the Bass Records coming in later, thanks to them, the music industry kind of came to Atlanta just as I was about to graduate high school. But what I didn't understand was that in addition to getting a record deal and wanting to be a rapper, that the music industry needed all types of people that were creative. They needed directors, they needed script writers, they needed producers, they needed union people to build sets, they needed people to build recording studios. And since film and music are going to be dominating in this city the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, there's a real unique opportunity for people who don't get in front of the camera. So if you don't sing and dance at all, there's still a robust economy around the industries that are around entertainment in this city. If you're very punctual, if you're very careful, if you have good soft skills, you're probably perfect to be a producer or to find ways to produce shows. If you're a person that likes working with your hands, you're a young person, you don't necessarily want to go to traditional college, but you're into going to trade school, someone had to build this room. Someone had to hang these lights, someone had to put this sound system up. There's a robust economy for you. So what I see happening in Atlanta is the furthering of a black middle class and worker class, and even beyond black folks, but I'm from the black community, so I tend to speak to us first. There's immense opportunity here. So, you know how a lot of people graduate school and the first thing they want to do is leave home and go to fancy places like New York, Miami, Los Angeles, all those places, very cool places to visit. But in terms of making money, there's a bunch of money for you guys to be made here. I talked to the city councilman last year. They're already hiring young people in places like Tyler Perry Studios, other movie sets, just because they want to grow a workforce that's from here versus having to import people that are from other states and try to convince them to live here. So you guys are right at ground central for where money's going to be made. You guys are already experts on the city because you guys move through the city at a greater pace than any of us old folks do. So there's going to be a lot of need for your expertise. There's going to be a lot of need for your thoughts and ideas. And what I see in terms of what's going to be the next 10 or 15 years is service-related industries, meaning restaurants, entertainments are going to grow. And I don't want you to just be a waiter or a server. I want you running operations. I want you running ghost kitchens. I want you owning restaurants. There's going to be room for producers. I don't want you just singing and dancing in front of the camera. I want you behind the boards, behind the camera. I want you directing. There's immense opportunity here for you. The people who already in power look like you, and I look forward to working for you guys someday.
I knew you all like going after the people. Yes. What I was saying is confidence. So I have to deal with faculty, I have to deal with students. But what we really have to do is pay attention to what you guys are listening to, what you guys are interested in, what you want. And they send me out around the world. I go globally to different countries looking for the artists that would probably be able to benefit. But really, it's more a benefit to the college, who you guys are, than the college is to you. Because they are trying to create an environment to allow you to be able to express yourself, to be able to create. Like, and us, I think we are all creative. I think we at some point, I'm looking at his sneakers, and all I've been thinking all day was, man, I wish I had those sneakers for this fit. Like, and so as we think and create, but now you can make money off of those thoughts. One of my artists, Madison, what she does is she plays the harp in her house, and she gets paid by the view. We never had that opportunity before. We never ever had the opportunity to be in our house thinking and making money off of our thoughts and showing it to the world. You guys have access to that. Before it was like, you gotta go to college and work 9 to 5. There's 15-year-olds becoming millionaires on YouTube. You know, your world is a different world from ours. Your capacity and your understanding surpasses ours. We probably have some roots that you need to stay connected to grow, but you guys are the ones that are going to give the fruits of what creativity looks like. So to me, the future looks amazing. The process is phenomenal. We just got to open up the space and get rid of all the obstacles that we've created to let creativity flow. And you guys, we got to count on you guys to do that for us. And that's the way I look at it.
And speaking of obstacles, so I always tell people that I made the mistakes so that you can avoid them, right? So I started my career in 2007, and for those who don't know, I created the show Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now that show, you watch? Yeah, and it's funny because I am brown, like many of you, right? I'm a black woman, particularly in an industry that is run by men. And so I know that early on, which was 14 years ago, someone like me getting in and getting to be able to do what I did and be able to sort of open the door and, you know, allow others to come through it was really rare. Now at the time, I was, you know, in my 20s and going into 30s, and I certainly did not quite understand the magnitude of being, and I'm Canadian, I was raised in Canada, born in Jamaica. So also that sort of separation for me really was, it was definitely different coming here from Canada. But what I realized very, very quickly was being here, being a black woman, and being able to sit in a room that I could have a voice for people who look like me, which is why the show got on television, because there was no other full black or predominantly black cast, right? So at the time, there wasn't a lot of it, but I knew that if I was able to have the courage to say, we need this, then someone would listen, right? And thankfully they did. Now, moving, you know, how many years later, 14 years later, we are looking for all of you. Why? Because you guys are the ones who feed what we need to put on television, what people are watching, what the trends are, what is happening, what we need to pay attention to make sure that our shows are successful. So 9 out of 10 times we are, you know, kind of paying attention more to young people than we are our own demographic, because you guys are really leading the future. You're telling us what we need to put on, what we need to pay attention to. So for that reason, we are always looking for you. We're coming to the schools, we're saying, hey, we want interns. There's a lot of internship programs that will allow you to participate in something, arts, entertainment, if you're interested in behind the scenes. Like Mike said, behind the scenes for me was always where I wanted to be. And I knew that if I was able to get there, then I can help other people who look like me get there as well, right? And that was really, really important to me. So the trend for me really, in the, you know, just looking in this room, we're looking for you guys. So if you're interested in this field or in any of these entertainment fields, then you really just have to go out and say, what am I interested in? Look for the internships. When I tell you internships, we are looking for people to fill those spaces. So, you know, I think you guys are definitely where we are focused on so that we can grow.
Thank you guys for that. Well, I just had one thing. Definitely internship and scholarship. Because what I do is I go around giving out scholarships to workers, right? And so looking for that talent, looking for what they're doing. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to get resources and assets to help you. But here's the other thing. We're telling you what we want, what we're looking for, what we're doing. But that's the other thing. You guys can create your own shows on your Instagram. You guys are your own characters. People are buying and watching you. So it's not even about others creating a construct for you. You are it. So if that's what you want to do, you have all the resources right now. And we're here to support that. That's all.
And I'm here to buy it, just saying.
Exactly.
You know, I was just gonna say the importance of understanding that someone is always looking for you.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be someone looking for you, and I just know that, 10 years ago when I was in your positions and I was, coming up in school, I grew up in Louisiana, and I didn't have these type of talks to know it. So I went to college and I went to graduate school. I did that traditional route, and it's so different now. Even 10 years later, it's so different now, and so someone is always looking for you. Moving on to a question after my phone is closed. What current trends do you feel are advancing the industry? We've kind of talked about we kind of talked about that.
To me, the biggest current trend is the fact that you don't have to wait.
Yeah.
You can create a television show on your phone. If you have a MacBook Pro and Pro Tools and a microphone, you can create the next big record in your bedroom. All you have to do is focus on not being distracted by folly and working incredibly hard at seeing what you want to do come to fruition. When I wanted to be a rapper, you had to find a studio, pay the studio, pay the engineer, find a producer, or manage to get up equipment and produce yourself. It was just a whole long, tenuous process. I remember I was 14, the first time my friend took me to a studio, I touched a button, and the guy said, "Don't touch that." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you're touching something you're not supposed to touch." I said, "But I paid for the time. If I paid you for the time, I can touch the button." So very early on, I realized it probably wasn't going to be good for me to work for other people in their studio. So I went out and earned enough money working at Six Flags, and I bought my own equipment, which my friend learned how to use, and that's how we started making music out of our bedroom. Now that functionality is much easier, but because you've always been around it, it feels like, okay, I created the content. I heard Tyler, the creator, say, you create content, you throw it up on your stories, and then you forget about it. You say, well, why are people paying attention to me? Because after you create the content, then you have to become your own publicist. You gotta run around school, get 10 of your friends and say, hey, send this to 10 other people. We're gonna do this, it's gonna get lit. You have to make sure that you're growing it. So that way, it's harder work, but you're learning every aspect of it. You're learning how to make and produce your own shows, make and produce your own music. You're learning how to then get the word out about it, and then how to control the flow of what's happening. So I think that the next wave is just going to be more content created for more people that are called amateurs, but they create a pro system out of the way they have to do. And I'm looking forward to that, because if you look at 10 years ago, it was incredibly difficult to just on your own do things. But now, because of technology, because of this phone, because of cheaper microphones and computers and things of that nature, the world is an oyster. You guys should take full advantage. Don't listen to people who tell you you gotta wait, or you have to wait on a gatekeeper to give you permission. Set up your YouTube channel, get on your shit, and make sure people are about the business of watching.
The next question. Define legacy.
Well, I want to jump on that one. Because what I hope my legacy is, and what's happening in my life right now, that I can see it a little closer, is when I see it in my descendants, and I see it in my granddaughter. I just got a granddaughter, and she's beautiful, Ella, and my 4 children. And to me, again, my legacy is going to be what we create in this world, and how we move in this world, and what we give back to this world during our time here. And I think a lot of the times we're so focused on our grind that we don't take time to stop for a moment and just enjoy the people that are around us and that love us and that feed us. And to us, that's really your legacy. At the end of the day, whenever you are working too hard or whatever, what you're thinking about is, well, I hope, is sometimes your family, your friends, your loved ones. And if your legacy is absent of that, to me, that's not what I want. I want my legacy to be full of that love, because I think that's what's going to live on forever. That's going to be the memory that echoes, and that fits within our DNA. So to me, my legacy is going to be not only me, but my family being in a position that we can say that we give back to the world in a good way.
arts for the entire family, right? And part of that is, you know, even in the house that I was born in, and the area that I was born in, usually your grandfather, your great-grandfather has built that home. And then your mother and father will live in there, or your brother, or your cousins, or it becomes a house that is passed on generations. So you'll go back to that house, and the great-grandmother and grandmother and entire family will live in that home. Well, also in that home, behind the home, will be a plot of land that usually comes with your home. That land will tend to be, seeds will be planted in that land that will reap harvest for your family. That family, that generations and generations and generations will sell the yam from that, you know, from your very own garden, will sell mangoes, will sell, you know, whatever it is that you've planted. And so in my culture, we've always been taught that you have to provide something that your family will be able to reap the benefits from years after you're gone. And so for me, as my journey started in television, what I realized very, very quickly was I'm creating a legacy for my family, but I'm also doing something that will allow another woman that looks like me to open, you know, a door, to be able to walk through a door and have programming on television like mine. So very shortly after my show, there was Orange County, and then, like I said, Atlanta became the first urban full Black cast, predominantly full Black cast. Shout out to Kim, because we got her. Definitely. So after that show, we know that there became the Basketball Wives and a lot of shows that centered around Black casts or urban casts, right? And so now it's very, very common to see those types of shows. But back in 2007, definitely not. And you know, I always credit James DuBois. I feel like he kind of started that wave with Keisha Cole's show and a couple of those shows. But I really feel like, for me, my legacy is knowing that I created an opportunity for another person to do what I'm doing, and also know that my children, you know, for me, I benefit from financially and from having credits on television for the legacy, for the long run of my particular show. And my children will always be able to eat off of that. So that's my legacy. Yeah.
I sit here as the product of a legacy. My great-grandparents were born as sharecroppers. Their parents had been enslaved. My great-grandmother taught her mother to read and my grandmother to read. My grandmother taught me to read. They have a 40-acre farm in Tuskegee that my family still owns to this day. Whether it's Jamaica or Tuskegee or South Carolina, black folks ain't much different. Whether in the world, like your great-grandparents teach you to leave something, plant a tree that'll give shade to a great-grandparent teacher, a great-grandkid you might never meet. So many of the same things that they've said, I'm a product of. I'm a product of those great-grandparents that built that house, that farm still my family. I'm a product of a family that raises kids like a village. So I don't see myself, you know, a lot of times we arrogantly say, well, I'm going to start a legacy. No, I'm a part of a legacy. My last name is Render, but I'm a black man. My father's last name is Render. My father grew up in Summer Hill in Peoplestown. And there was another man named Herman J. Russell who grew up in Summer Hill in Peoplestown. And he put himself through university by putting up drywall. And he moved in the center of a neighborhood called the Collier Heights. And in that neighborhood, there was a little black kid, a little chubby kid who rode his bike named Mike. And Mike would ride his bike right by that man's house, where there was a tennis court and a basketball court and indoor swimming pool. And I would say, man, I want that house. When that house went up for sale, me and my wife went and looked at it. And my wife was like, I like this house, but we're not going to move in your old neighborhood. But I'm sitting here today, a product of a legacy of the Blackman family out of Tuskegee. And I'm sitting here, and I did this because of the legacy of that man on that poster. He inspired me to think beyond the 900 square foot house I grew up in. Because there was a millionaire that lived 3 streets behind me. And if this man, who looked like one of my uncles, could figure out real estate development, could figure out construction, could figure out these things that had nothing to do with singing and dancing, why would I not aspire to do the same thing? running.
Can I just want to say before I go, because again, I've been on high school field trips. I just want y'all to know one thing. I believe in y'all like I believe in God.
Yeah, absolutely.
And listen to what I'm saying, little black, brown, beautiful children in that audience. And every human being that has a heart. I believe in you like I believe in God. Because I don't believe God is some outside force in the universe just watching us like a television show. Whatever God is dwells within each and every one of you guys. So I look forward to meeting you guys in a year or two, hearing about amazing things you're doing, because I believe in you like I believe in God. Thank you guys for allowing me.
better known as Killer Mike. I'm Shay's husband and one half of Run the Jewels. I sing and dance for a living, and I do business on my off days. And I just spoke at the Future Creators panel, and it's amazing. Absolutely dope, proud of young people, and hopefully I inspire them.
So we are at the inaugural Future Fest, and so when you hear the name Russell Block Future Fest, what does that mean? What does that name mean being in the room?
For me, being in this room is a part of a legacy of hard work, dedication, belief, and education. The Russell family, I lived in the same community. I lived in the working class section of the Collier Heights, which is a bunch of 900 square foot houses where a lot of great people came out of. Keisha Lance Bottoms, Dean Raheem Diya of Georgia Tech, Robert Hicks, who coaches at Riverwood now, formerly Buffalo Bills. You know, our old principal is still alive, Twiggs, Roscoe Twiggs. So I come from a community where black excellence, black competence, black confidence was cultivated. It was purposely started in 1946 by black people, for black people, and I'm a direct product of black empowerment.
Awesome. So you heard the word legacy, you've heard that word all day. What is the word legacy?
Legacy is what I sit here as. I'm a legacy of McDaniel Black. I'm part of the legacy of McDaniel Black and Trudella Black. Those are my great-grandparents. They lived long enough for me to know them. They started a 40-acre farm down in Tuskegee, Alabama. That farm produced 9 children. We moved to Atlanta, became nurses, became mechanics, became business people, inspired my generation of the family and generation younger than me. And it helped me understand that I'm not here by my own merit. I'm here standing on the shoulders of my ancestors. I'm here because of the prayers of my ancestors. So a legacy for me is not something that I started with talking about, wealth management and things of that nature. A legacy is something I'm a part of as a person whose family came out of the bondage of slavery and Jim Crowism and made a way in a city like Atlanta. And now I stand here to testament to their heart.
One last question. What would you say to the now generation? What would be your biggest advice to them for being entrepreneurs or being in business and being part of this culture? What's your advice?
My biggest advice to the now generation is it is now. Take care of mind, body, spirit right now. Don't be afraid to be a little selfish with your time, to be a little selfish with yourself. Don't be afraid to get away from the pride and the need for approval and to figure out yourself. Give yourself 30 minutes a day, a long time, whether that's a walk or whether that's kind of sitting and meditating. Give yourself the opportunity to fail, because a lot is learned in failure. You're gonna get your heart broken, you're gonna fail in love, you're gonna mess up some money, you're gonna fail in finance, but you can't have the big failures that have happened before you. You can't keep repeating those failures. You can't keep, I was a product of 2 teenagers having a child. And I would have made the exact same mishap. I would have had children early, which didn't stop me from accomplishing my goal, but it set me back about 10 years, And it took me away from those children because I had to sing and dance and tour. And I'm just now getting to a point where I can be full-featured dad and there all the time in the way I would like to have been, as early as 20, 25 years ago. So, you're going to make some failures. Try not to make mistakes. Try to continually educate yourself. Read 20 pages of any book a day. Just a book you may find. Just pick it up. It's amazing what you can learn by accident. And do it now. If you want to do it now. And don't be afraid. If you want to get into sneaker reselling, instead of buying the Jordans to wear for yourself, buy a pair will sell well, then take that money and buy 2 pairs and get into business. If you want to do hair and makeup, go ahead and start doing hair and makeup, but not only at your house, go ahead and start being an intern on a movie set. In Atlanta, there's a lot going on. Do internships and understand you're going to work hard before you get to live your dream. You're going to have to get coffee. You're going to have to, wash your car or two, do things of that nature. But there's nothing wrong with humbling yourself, so when you get what you deserve, you'll truly deserve it and you won't feel ashamed or bad about it. Now. Do it now. There's no need to wait.
giving me that name before Instagram was even a thing, because I produce television. So I produce predominantly African American women or ensemble casts. Many of them are young, so and yeah, that's what I do. And I guess, you know, I'm a mother and a wife and a business owner and an entrepreneur and a fashion kid. No, I'm just kidding. I love fashion. That's definitely a passion. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me in a nutshell.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just spoke on the Future Creators Day where we were talking about content creation for the culture. So when you hear content creation for the culture, what does that mean to you?
Oh, boom. All right. So it's funny, we started to touch on this a little bit on the panel, but content creation for the future is really exactly that. It's the now. So people are able to pick up their cell phone. They're able to go in their own, use their own home as a backdrop. When I started with television, you have to go to a studio, you have to, rent a cameraman hire a cameraman, hire audio. You have to do all of these things that would allow you to have a decent looking piece of content that people still sort of nitpicked, right? But nowadays, what you can do is simply turn on your phone. You can have a mic that you can buy from, Best Buy, Amazon, all your lighting equipment. Gosh, if I had all the lighting equipment that you guys have now, I'd be in business. And so really to me, it's those young people that are able to say, I am a content creator. And 9 out of 10 times, those people are the people that we are looking for to be able to say, we need to move in this direction, right? The young people have spoken. Content creators are everywhere, young and old really, because I think that there's really no defined age in terms of content creation. It's just really about knowing that I have something in me that I want to get out, and I want to be able to share this with the world. And back in the day, you had to wait, you had to get, all of these elaborate things to be able to create content. And now, you pick up your phone, you set up some lighting, you have your house as your backdrop, and that's it. And you are a content creator. And a lot of the stuff that's coming out is really good. It's really, really good. And I really wish that young people understood the power that they have, just as having a young mind to be able to tap into trends and be able to know that, we are counting on them to show us what's the next big thing in television. And for me, I hire people just to do that. I hire people to scour YouTube, go on Instagram, tell me who's the next TikTok star. I want to know who the family is, because a lot of times I want to meet them. And these are average working folks that go to school, are families, and I'm so passionate about content creation because I really think that it can be anybody. We have these 5-year-olds running around doing TikTok, they're famous, right? Famous. So yeah, it's anybody can be a content creator if you all have a little content creation inside of us. So yeah.
Perfect. So with the history, your portfolio, your resume, your film experience, you are a legacy maker yourself. So when you hear the word legacy, what does that word mean to you? How would you define it?
And again, I started back to, it took me back to how I was raised and being West Indian and knowing that my family, my ancestors, my grandparents, they planted seeds, literal physical seeds in the backyard of a home that they built, right? Making sure that the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren have somewhere to live, lay their head, and would never be out of the home, right? So you can have a lot going on, but if you have somewhere to lay your head at night and you know that you are in somewhere that's safe, that says a lot. And for my parents and grandparents, that was really important. Outside of that, once I realized as a woman, I know I wanted to do something to allow other women an opportunity to not only be seen, because at the time it was just to be seen. I just wanted to put Black women on television, right? I didn't see a lot of it. Coming from the North, coming from Canada, I was like, oh, this reality show thing. And this was before reality shows were popping, right? Before it was everybody had a show. This was really in the beginning stages where I said, if I'm brave enough now as a young person, which if you could take me back to that braveness, I wish young people knew, right? You've been bobbing your head, isn't that true? I just wish that back then, I was so fearless. I would walk in the room and say, yeah, so this is what I think should happen. These are the people I think we need to see on television. And I'm gonna go out and do that, which is essentially how I got the show. I simply walked in, I had a meeting with an executive, and we sat down, talked about a show that was already on the network. And it wasn't even, I'm giving you the cold note. It wasn't even really a discussion about putting that show on, but it was really a discussion about having a group of Black women in the South that could sort of duplicate or have their own version of this particular show. It just happens it got picked up on the franchise, which is a blessing. But really, I had the courage to ask for it. I had the courage to open my mouth and say, almost
demanded it. Yeah, I think I pretty much said, we need to do this. And it happened, you know, and if I hadn't had the courage, and young people just have that fearlessness, if they continue to keep that, it's going to bring them so much further in their career. I think we all kind of use that a little as we get a little older, right? Kind of, well, I think people really need to, young people really need to know that fearlessness is what's going to get you to create a legacy. Okay, what was your third?
You know, your biggest advice for those that want to follow your footsteps. A lot of people want to do a show and X, Y, and Z.
Oh, $500 for every time I hear it. Yeah, I love doing panels like this, which involve young people. Right? I've mentioned this before. I do a whole lot of panels or press type of things, but I love ones that involve young minds. Because I was that person that, you know, went to school. I was in beauty at first and did that for a really long time. Then I was in finance and literally just said, well, I want to do something that I want to do, not what I have to do. And it became television, right? It became behind the scenes. It became creating content. It became showing people that we, as Black folks, particularly Black women, can have a seat at the table to be able to show and have representation. That was just so important for me, to be able to know that I can represent somebody in the room that isn't in the room, and perhaps, you know, my message will translate to someone and give someone else an opportunity. So, yeah, my advice is just to figure out what you really are passionate about, what you can do that makes you happy, and you want to wake up and do it every single day. And then make sure that you are fearless. You know, continue to remember what got you in the door. For me, it was just like, even though I'm a fairly quiet-ish type person, I'm very, I have a lot of, you know, boldness when it comes to me creating an opportunity that I think is needed and necessary. And at the time, it was necessary. There were really no shows like that. So, you know, just keep that kind of fire to know what got you there and just being fearless. Yeah. Yes. Good stuff, girl.
You gonna count the thing? I'm video recording. You wanna count the thing because we won't know? Oh, she's hiding. Future Fest again. Future Fest!